Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel.
Port Charles braces for explosive November drama inside the latest General Hospital turmoil. Welcome back, soap lovers. The residents of Port Charles are about to face one of their most tumultuous periods yet, and if you thought the drama couldn't escalate any further, think again. As we dive into the swirling chaos that November promises to deliver, buckle up for a wild ride through betrayals, dangerous encounters, and secrets that threaten to tear families apart. Carly's world spirals into complete disarray. Fresh off her intense journey to Steinmauer, Carly finds herself walking straight into a firestorm of complications that would challenge even the most resilient Port Charles veteran. The moment she sets foot back in town, she's blindsided by shocking news. Lucas Jones, someone she cares deeply about, has made the bewildering decision to take up residence with Marco Rios at the foreboding Windermere Castle. This isn't just any living arrangement. It places Lucas directly under the same roof as the menacing Jen Sidwell, a criminal whose reputation for ruthlessness precedes him. Carly's maternal instincts will kick into overdrive as she processes this dangerous development. The castle's dark history and Sidwell's volatile nature create a powder keg situation that could explode at any moment. Making matters exponentially worse, Carly discovers that her daughter Jocelyn has been conducting her own covert investigation, circling dangerously close to Lucas and his new circumstances. The realization that Jocelyn's WSB assignment has brought her into Sidwell's orbit will send waves of panic through Carly's already frazzled mind. But wait, there's more piling onto Carly's overflowing plate. Willow Tate's release on bail introduces another layer of family dysfunction that Carly cannot ignore. The fractured relationship between Michael Corinthos and his estranged wife has created an impossible situation where Carly finds herself caught in the crossfire. Her loyalty to her son conflicts with her complicated feelings about Willow, and navigating this minefield requires the diplomatic skills of a seasoned negotiator. Every conversation becomes a potential landmine, every family gathering a test of her ability to keep the peace. Adding insult to injury, Carly must maintain her carefully orchestrated facade with Jack Brennan, a performance that demands constant vigilance and emotional energy she can barely spare. The strain of juggling these multiple crises simultaneously threatens to push even Carly's legendary resilience to its breaking point. How much can one person handle before the cracks start to show? Jocelyn's dangerous double life. Meanwhile, Jocelyn Jax finds herself trapped in an increasingly precarious balancing act. Her WSB assignment demands unwavering loyalty and results, but her personal connection to Lucas complicates everything. The young investigator in training desperately wants to shield Lucas from harm, yet completing her mission successfully requires potentially exposing him to greater danger. This moral quandary weighs heavily on her conscience, creating sleepless nights and constant second-guessing. Brennan's watchful eyes track Jocelyn's every move, scrutinizing her actions for any hint of wavering commitment to the agency. The pressure to prove herself capable while simultaneously protecting those she loves creates a psychological tightrope walk that would challenge even experienced operatives. One misstep could cost her the assignment, or worse, cost Lucas his safety. The situation takes a sinister turn when Jocelyn uncovers a development that sends ice through her veins. Pascal, the ruthless operative who held her captive at the Five Poppies Resort alongside Vaughn, has relocated to Port Charles. His new role as Sidwell's personal bunker means their paths will inevitably cross, and when they do, the encounter promises to be deeply unsettling. The trauma from her previous ordeal with Pascal still haunts Jocelyn's nightmares, and now she must face her captor once again, this time while maintaining her cover and continuing her investigation. This confrontation will test everything Jocelyn has learned about composure under pressure. Can she maintain her professional demeanor when facing someone who represents one of her darkest memories? The disturbing reunion with Pascal may force Jocelyn to confront unresolved fears while simultaneously advancing her mission, creating a perfect storm of emotional and professional challenges. Portia's pregnancy secret threatens to unravel. Over at General Hospital, Portia Robinson finds herself drowning in the consequences of her own deception. Her pregnancy has become an increasingly difficult secret to maintain, particularly around Isaiah Gannon, whose medical expertise and observational skills make him a particularly dangerous person to deceive. Every interaction with Isaiah becomes a carefully choreographed performance, with Portia monitoring her words, her body language, and even her unconscious reactions. Isaiah's growing suspicion manifests in lingering glances and pointed questions that Portia struggles to deflect convincingly. As a fellow medical professional, he notices subtle changes others might miss: the way she avoids certain activities, her carefully selected wardrobe choices, the occasional moments of exhaustion that break through her professional veneer. The puzzle pieces are slowly assembling themselves in Isaiah's mind, and Portia knows it's only a matter of time before he connects the dots completely. Simultaneously, Portia works overtime to ensure Curtis Ashford remains blissfully unaware of Isaiah's potential paternity. This requires an entirely different skill set, keeping Curtis away from certain conversations, manufacturing reasons why Isaiah shouldn't be included in family discussions, and constantly redirecting Curtis's attention whenever he gets too close to uncomfortable truths. The mental exhaustion of maintaining multiple deceptions across different fronts takes its toll, and the cracks in Portia's carefully constructed facade grow wider each day. The ticking time bomb of this secret promises an eventual explosion that will devastate multiple relationships simultaneously. When the truth finally emerges, and it inevitably will, the fallout will reshape family dynamics and test bonds in ways that may prove irreparable. Justine's manipulation backfires spectacularly. Assistant District Attorney Justine Turner discovers that playing with fire often results in severe burns. Her elaborate scheme to manipulate Sonny Corinthos has spiraled wildly out of her control, transforming from a calculated professional maneuver into a personal entanglement that threatens both her career and her emotional stability. The lines she's crossed in pursuit of her goals have left her standing in morally ambiguous territory, wondering how she arrived at this compromising position. The sizzling chemistry between Justine and her target has introduced complications she never anticipated. What began as strategic positioning has evolved into something that keeps her awake at night, questioning her motivations and loyalties. The loss of control terrifies her. She's always prided herself on maintaining professional boundaries, and those boundaries have dissolved completely. The internal conflict tears at her, creating a psychological battlefield where ambition wars against conscience. Ava and Sidwell's dangerous attraction. Across town, Ava Jerome finds herself drawn into Sidwell's magnetic orbit despite every warning bell ringing in her experienced mind. Their flirtatious interactions crackle with an electricity that's both thrilling and terrifying. Sidwell possesses a dark charisma that Ava finds irresistible, even as her survival instincts scream caution. She allows herself to be swept up in his sophisticated charm, indulging in the dangerous game they're playing. Each encounter between them intensifies the attraction, building towards something that could blossom into either a risky love affair or a potentially fatal obsession. Ava's history with dangerous men should make her more cautious, but instead, it seems to have created a pattern she can't break. The question isn't whether this connection will lead somewhere, it's whether that destination will be passion or destruction. Sidwell's criminal connections make him precisely the wrong person for Ava to pursue, yet that danger seems to enhance his appeal rather than diminish it. Dante's impossible choice. Detective Dante Falconeri faces a parenting dilemma that has no easy resolution. Giovanni Gio Palmieri's presence in his son Rocco's life has led to the boy's involvement in a serious lab break-in incident, and Dante must decide where to direct his frustration and how to handle the situation responsibly. Part of him wants to blame Gio for being a bad influence, for exposing Rocco to situations that landed him in trouble with authorities. That knee-jerk parental instinct to protect his child by removing perceived threats feels natural and justified. However, Dante's detective training and his fundamentally fair nature force him to acknowledge uncomfortable truths. Rocco made his own choices, nobody forced him into that lab, and holding others accountable for his son's decisions undermines important lessons about personal responsibility. Additionally, Gio demonstrated genuine heroism when he helped save Ned Quartermain's life, proving he possesses strong moral character despite his mistakes. The young man deserves credit for his courage and quick thinking in that crisis situation. Furthermore, Dante and Lulu Spencer must reassess their feelings about Britt Westburn following her life-saving intervention. Their previous judgments about her may need revision in light of her selfless actions. Sometimes people surprise us by rising to occasions we never expected them to face, and refusing to acknowledge growth and positive change serves nobody. This complex situation requires Dante to balance multiple considerations, holding his son accountable, giving credit where it's due, and potentially adjusting long-held opinions about people based on new evidence of their character. What November holds. As November 14th approaches, Port Charles residents should prepare themselves for stunning revelations and unexpected developments that will reshape relationships and test alliances. The convergence of these multiple storylines promises explosive confrontations, tearful revelations, and consequences that will echo through the community for months to come. Next, fellow caffeine enthusiasts and General Hospital devotees, nothing kickstarts the day like a hot debate over your go-to brew, right? As the sun rises on Port Charles and beyond, Steve Burton, the charismatic actor behind the brooding Jason Morgan, has once again stirred the pot. This time, it's not about dramatic twists in the ABC soap, but a simple roadside dilemma that has fans buzzing: Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks. In a light-hearted Instagram reel that's racked up thousands of views, Burton and his wife, Sharna Burgess, cruise down a sun-dappled highway, windows down, debating the ultimate pit stop. Burton, ever the relatable everyman beneath his on-screen intensity, gestures animatedly first toward a glowing Dunkin' sign, then swivels to spotlight the iconic green mermaid across the street. "You all know I'm a coffee fiend," he captions with a grin. But when local gems are scarce on these road trips, these titans step up. Dunkin' loyalists, unite, or are you Team Starbucks? Spill your secrets below. What starts as a playful poll quickly escalates into a full-blown coffee civil war in the comments, mirroring the passionate loyalties that keep General Hospital's storylines alive. Fans, from die-hard Port Charles watchers to casual scrollers, flood the thread with unfiltered takes, turning Burton's reel into a virtual town hall. One devotee, a self-proclaimed morning zombie without my fix, declares Dunkin' the undisputed champ for its no-fuss, bold flavors that hit like Jason's unwavering loyalty: quick, reliable, and under $2 for a large. Starbucks, overpriced foam art, they quip, echoing a sentiment that resonates with budget-conscious viewers who juggle soap marathons and real-life hustles. On the flip side, Starbucks diehards counter with tales of their pumpkin spice sanctuaries, praising the chain's customizable elixirs as the sophisticated fuel for late-night episode binges. "Dunkin's got that greasy diner vibe, give me a venti latte any day," writes another, sparking a chain of emojis from laughing skulls to coffee cups. Inventing a fun twist here, picture a fictional fan poll Burton might run next. Early tallies show a razor-thin 51-49 split, with ties broken by wild cards like both. Depending on the mood or neither, I'm all about that indie roast. Diving deeper into the frenzy, it's clear this isn't just about taste buds. It's a cultural clash that taps into broader lifestyle vibes, much like the moral quandaries Jason Morgan navigates. Burton, known off-screen for his disciplined wellness routine, think Dawn yoga sessions and protein-packed smoothies, adds an intriguing layer. Does a guy who preaches balance indulge in Daily Joe? Absolutely, and science backs him up without the guilt trip. Drawing from Harvard's extensive studies on the bean, moderate coffee consumption say. 2 cups unleashes a cascade of perks that could make even the most skeptical Port Charles doc nod in approval. We're talking a 25% dip in type 2 diabetes risk, thanks to coffee's antioxidants dancing with your insulin like a well-choreographed soap subplot. Heart health gets a boost too, with regular sippers showing lower incidences of cardiovascular woes, potentially slashing stroke odds by up to 20%. And for liver lovers, the brew acts as a shield against cirrhosis and even certain cancers, transforming your mug from mere wake-up call to a subtle health ally. Burton himself might chuckle at this, perhaps sharing in a follow-up story how he pairs his black coffee with green juices to keep the energy steady during grueling GH shoots. No crash, just sustained focus for those high-stakes scenes. Yet, for the heart of General Hospital's fan base, the debate boils down to more earthly concerns: the wallet. In an era where streaming subscriptions and merch hunts eat into budgets, cost emerges as the silent referee. Dunkin' edges out with its everyday affordability, often landing under $3 for a solid brew that feels like a steal compared to Starbucks premium pricing, where a tall can tip $5 before add-ons. Fans recount road trip hacks, like stocking up on Dunkin' gift cards for family outings or treating Starbucks as a rare splurge for celebratory plot reveals. Think nursing a frappuccino while live tweeting a Jason comeback. This divide isn't random. It's rooted in accessibility, with Dunkin' blanketing suburban strips and Starbucks dominating urban escapes, much like how GH episodes cater to diverse viewer rhythms. Inventing a deeper fan angle, imagine a group of online sleuths analyzing burdens, real frame by frame. Noting how the actor's quick pivot between signs symbolizes his own indecision, mirroring Jason's torn allegiances. Equal cheers for both chains suggest no clear victor, but the real win. Community chatter that binds fans tighter than any scripted alliance. As the reel continues to percolate, Burton's subtle nod to coffee's role in his nomadic actor life invites us all to reflect. Whether you're Team Dunkin' for its punchy simplicity or Starbucks for that artisanal flair, the choice fuels more than just your morning. It's a ritual that sparks joy, debate, and maybe even a little self-care. So, what's your stance in this great divide? Do you side with Steve's on-the-fence vibe, loyal to one brand, or swear off the chains for hidden local treasures? Next, we're diving deep into one of the most intriguing mysteries currently unfolding on our screens. The sudden and completely unexpected return of Pascal during the action-packed week of November 3rd to 7th has sent shockwaves through the GH community, sparking countless theories and heated debates across social media platforms and fan forums alike. The mysterious return of Pascal. Pascal's re-emergence in Port Charles wasn't just surprising, it was downright shocking. After months of absence following the catastrophic events at the Five Poppies Resort, this enigmatic figure has suddenly materialized back in town, and his timing couldn't be more suspicious. Currently, he appears to be operating in the capacity of a butler for the notorious Jen Sidwell, serving dutifully as the man works tirelessly on what insiders are calling Caesar Faison's final project. But seasoned GH viewers know better than to take anything at face value in Port Charles, especially when it involves figures as shadowy and complex as Pascal. The question burning in everyone's mind is whether Pascal is genuinely working for Sidwell or if there's a much more intricate game being played beneath the surface. Could this mysterious individual actually be functioning as a double agent, carefully positioned by the World Security Bureau to infiltrate Sidwell's inner circle and gather critical intelligence from the inside? The possibility is tantalizing, and the evidence pointing in that direction is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. Revisiting the Five Poppies Resort disaster. To fully understand the significance of Pascal's return, we need to rewind the clock and examine the chaotic sequence of events that transpired at the Five Poppies Resort. That particular mission was nothing short of a disaster for all parties involved, leaving destruction and unanswered questions in its wake. The resort became ground zero for a high-stakes operation that went sideways in spectacular fashion, with multiple innocent lives hanging in the balance and dangerous criminals operating in the shadows. During that harrowing ordeal, the heroic Jason Morgan mounted a daring rescue mission that successfully extracted Dr. Britt Westburn, Jocelyn Jacks, and S. Vaughn from the clutches of danger. The foursome managed to escape the premises intact, though not without experiencing their fair share of terror and trauma. However, in the confusion and chaos that engulfed the resort during those final moments, Pascal also managed to slip away undetected, vanishing into thin air before authorities could apprehend him or question him about his involvement in the entire sordid affair. This raises several deeply troubling questions that have yet to be adequately addressed. Where exactly was Pascal hiding during his extended absence from Port Charles? What was he doing during those missing months? If he was indeed engaged in illegal activities, and considering he played a direct role in holding both Jocelyn and Vaughn captive against their will, what gives him the audacity and confidence to resurface in Port Charles as if nothing happened. After all, Jason Morgan, Jocelyn, and Vaughn all currently reside in this tight-knit community, and each of them would have every reason to report him to the authorities or confront him directly about his past actions. The Windermere wild card. Perhaps Pascal feels a false sense of security operating out of Windermere Castle, the sprawling Casadini estate that has long served as a haven for those seeking to avoid uncomfortable scrutiny. The Gothic mansion's reputation for harboring secrets and shielding questionable characters is well established. Pascal might believe that Dr. Britt Western won't pose a threat to his cover, given that she's now working directly for Sidwell herself. This alliance removes at least one potential witness who could expose his role in the Five Poppies debacle. However, is Pascal truly safe from the long arm of the law while residing at Windermere? The castle may offer some degree of protection and privacy, but it's not exactly a fortress impervious to investigation. The Port Charles Police Department, the WSB, and various other law enforcement entities have successfully penetrated Windermere's walls before when circumstances demanded it. If Pascal is indeed operating on the wrong side of the law, his choice to hide in plain sight at such a high-profile location seems either incredibly bold or remarkably foolish. Jack Brennan's cryptic declaration. Adding another layer of intrigue to this already complex situation is a particularly fascinating comment made by WSB Director Jack Brennan during a recent conversation with Jocelyn. While briefing her on a new assignment, Brennan made the rather bold assertion that the World Security Bureau has never been closer to apprehending Sidwell and completely dismantling Caesar Fayson's mysterious final project. On the surface, this statement seems encouraging, suggesting that the good guys are making significant progress in their ongoing investigation. But here's where things get interesting, and perhaps a bit contradictory. The Five Poppies resort mission was, by all objective measures, an absolute disaster. The operation failed to achieve its primary objectives, multiple hostages were taken, and the perpetrators, including Pascal, managed to escape without facing immediate consequences. So how exactly can Brennan claim with such confidence that the WSB is now closer to achieving success when their most recent major operation ended in such spectacular failure? Unless there's critical information that Brennan is deliberately withholding from Jocelyn, and let's face it, the WSB has a long and storied history of operating on a need-to-know basis. His comment seems puzzling at best and potentially misleading at worst. Could there be developments happening behind the scenes that even operatives like Jocelyn aren't being briefed on? Is Brennan playing a longer game that requires keeping certain cards close to his chest? The double agent theory. This brings us to what might be the most compelling theory currently circulating among devoted General Hospital fans, the possibility that Pascal isn't actually working for Sidwell at all, but rather functioning as a carefully placed WSB asset. What if the agency successfully tracked down Pascal after the Five Poppies catastrophe, approached him with an offer he couldn't refuse, and recruited him to infiltrate Sidwell's organization from within? The logistics of such an arrangement would be complex, but not impossible. The WSB could have leveraged Pascal's past involvement in illegal activities, offering him immunity from prosecution in exchange for his cooperation. They might have appealed to whatever remnants of conscience he possesses, convincing him that helping take down Sidwell and stopping Fayson's final project represents his best chance at redemption. Or perhaps they simply made him an offer lucrative enough to override his loyalty to his former associates. If this theory holds water, it would explain several puzzling elements of the current situation. Pascal's bold return to Port Charles would make much more sense if he's operating under WSB protection, with assurances that his cooperation will keep him safe from both legal repercussions and potential retaliation from Sidwell's organization. It would also lend credence to Brennan's confident assertion about being closer to Sidwell than ever before, because he would know that the WSB has successfully placed an agent directly inside the enemy's operation. A two-pronged strategy. Consider the strategic brilliance of such an operation if it's actually taking place. Jocelyn would be working one angle of the investigation, approaching the problem from her unique position and utilizing her particular skill set. Meanwhile, Pascal would be attacking the same problem from the opposite direction, embedded deep within Sidwell's organization and gathering intelligence that external operatives could never access. The two operatives might not even be aware of each other's involvement, operating independently while unknowingly supporting the same ultimate mission. This kind of multi-layered, compartmentalized approach is classic WSB operational doctrine. The agency has always favored complex strategies that involve multiple moving parts and overlapping spheres of operation. By keeping different operatives siloed and uninformed about the full scope of the mission, they minimize the risk that a single compromised agent could bring down the entire operation. It truly could be an all-hands-on-deck situation, with every available WSB resource being mobilized to finally bring down Sidwell and prevent whatever catastrophic plans Caesar Faison set in motion before his death. The stakes have never been higher, and the agency may have decided that extraordinary circumstances call for extraordinary measures, including the recruitment of someone as morally ambiguous as Pascal. What this means going forward. If Pascal is indeed working as a double agent for the WSB, the implications for upcoming storylines are massive. His position as Sidwell's butler would give him unprecedented access to sensitive information, private conversations, and secure locations. He would be perfectly positioned to sabotage operations from within, feed critical intelligence back to his handlers, and potentially even turn other members of Sidwell's organization into informants. However, the danger inherent in such an operation cannot be overstated. If Sidwell or anyone in his inner circle suspects Pascal's true allegiance, the consequences would be swift and brutal. Double agents operate under constant threat of discovery, living every moment knowing that a single slip-up could cost them everything. Pascal would need to maintain his cover perfectly while simultaneously gathering intelligence and potentially sabotaging operations, a high-wire act that would test even the most experienced operative.
Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon. Bye.